I don't get so hung up on the images, to be honest. I really don't care what comes out of it. If there is a good image, great, it's a bonus. But if there isn't anything, that's also fine. I try not to get, too hung up on that. So I guess it's about the process, and it's about the doing rather than the result.
Welcome to the SheClicks Women in Photography podcast. I'm Angela Nicholson, and I'm the founder of SheClicks, which is a community for female photographers. In these podcasts, I talk with women in the photographic industry to hear about their experiences, what drives them, and how they got to where they are now. This episode is with Jovis Howieson, who is the founder of the Urban Photographers Club. What began as a simple idea, bringing people together through a shared love of photography, has grown into something much bigger, but the core values remain: kindness, respect, and friendship. Hi Jovis, thank you for joining me today on the SheClicks Women in Photography podcast. It's really fabulous to be talking with you.
Hi, Angela. Thank you so much for having me. It's really exciting to be here.
Oh, thank you. Now, I know you're a relatively recent convert to photography, but what was it that triggered you to buy a camera in 2018?
I saw people photographing and I thought, oh, that looks fun. And also because I've always wanted to have a camera and always wanted to do photography ever since I was a little girl. And I thought, okay, now's the best time. So I walked into Jessup's in Kingston. And I said to the guys in the store, I want to be a street photographer and I want to buy a Sony. And they all laughed at me.
Oh, okay.
And I said, no, you don't need a Sony to be a street photographer. And they showed me all kinds of cameras. And that's how it all started, really.
And did you buy a Sony in the end or did you buy something else?
No, I bought a Fujifilm.
Okay.
I bought two. I came out with two cameras.
Right.
Two Fujifilm cameras.
Very nice.
Yes.
And why street photography? What was the thing that made you go into a shop specifically to say you wanted to photograph things in the street?
I think it was just photographs that I was seeing and I thought, oh, this looks amazing and like anyone could do it. And people were just out and about shooting on the streets. And I thought, that would be accessible for me. One way I could get into photography. So I thought this would be a good way to start. I had no idea what street photography was or anything about photography.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, nothing at all.
Do you have any regrets that you didn't start earlier, or do you feel that you had other things to learn first and it was a good time to get a camera in 2018?
Yes, I do have regrets about not starting earlier because I was very inspired by certain stories and I wanted to kind of document those stories, but it's too late now. It could never happen. And but I think in the end, like you said, I had to learn and do other things that led me to photography at this time. So I think it's just meant to be at this time. It wasn't meant to be earlier.
Yeah. Okay. What is it you enjoy most about photography?
Making a photo that I'm happy with. Which is never.
Oh, really?
Oh, I'm too critical. I think the whole process, the excitement of having the camera. Oh, you pick up the camera and get so excited. You hold it and you're like, oh yes, this is my baby. No man can compare to it. So and the thought of, okay, you're not gonna go out and make some shots, or what can I make with this little contraption I have in my hand, and I get very excited. I still feel the excitement when I pick up my camera.
So it's more about the capture stage than the, seeing your images.
Yes, I think the whole lead up to it, like if I know I'm going out to shoot on the weekend, which is usually Saturdays, then the whole week I'll be like, oh yes, I've got something to look forward to. Got a bit of a life. On Saturday, I'm going out with my camera. I've got a date with the camera. Yeah, and the actual shooting is also like just, really fun and exciting, and that whole process. I mean, I don't get so hung up on the images, to be honest. I really don't care what comes out of it. If there's a good image, great, it's a bonus. But if there isn't anything, that's also fine. I try not to get, too hung up on that. So I guess it's about the process and it's about the doing rather than the result.
Okay. So are you the sort of photographer who knows instantly that you've got the shot that you're going to be happy with.
Yes.
Yeah, rather than reviewing them in Lightroom or Bridge or whatever it is you use.
Yes. Once I know I've got the shot, I know I've got the shot. Doesn't happen often, but yes.
Now, tell us about the Urban Photographers Club. What is it and what made you decide to create it?
I was kind of forced into it actually because by my friends. So during lockdown, my street photographer friends and I, we all of us were feeling, we can't go out to shoot. What are we going to do? So I started a little project to shoot during our free exercise time or outside time, and just to kind of keep everybody shooting. And it was just really between my friends. There were 10 of us. And I said to them, okay, I promise you, if you meet me online once a month, you go out and shoot and we review our photos together. At the end of the 12 months, I promise you that I will hold an exhibition for us and I would make a little book for us with all our images. So it's a promise I made to my friends. But I had no clue how I was going to do this. I don't know anything about photography. I had never, organized an exhibition, let alone created a book. So basically, I was just inspired by my friends and I cared about my friends and I just wanted to do this for them. So at the end, I managed to secure a place at the Fujifilm House of Photography in 2022 and held the exhibition there, made a little book for them. And everyone then asked me if I would continue doing what I've done as other people were interested in joining. So Urban Photographers Club was created from that exhibition, from that group of friends who encouraged me to keep going. So I didn't have a choice. I had to just do something because of my friends and the photographers. So basically, Urban Photographers, the foundation is very much about friendship. Without my friends, without the photographers, without the people, it wouldn't exist. So for me, they are the most important thing to me in Urban Photographers Club, the photographers and the friends. Everyone is a friend now. So it exists because of them. It's for them.
That's really nice. Yeah, that's lovely. Do you go out taking photographs with people quite often, or do you tend to go out by yourself?
Both. So I hold a lot of photo walks. There's a lot of meetups. And so I tend to shoot with the photographers a lot. But when I'm serious, I have to do it on my own. So if I have to make my own shots, yes. So there is a mix of going out by myself and with the photographers.
Very nice.
Yeah.
What's your vision for the club going forward and your aims for it from now on?
To be international, to keep holding exhibitions, events like photo walks, making photo books, and really having a platform for every photographer to be showcased, especially photographers whose work just never gets seen, who may not necessarily be on Instagram, but have really great work. So discovering new photographers, but really having a platform for everybody to come together from all parts of the world, where it's friendly and they can, just enjoy the passion together. So I would say, I think being international is quite important for me. And having exhibitions is probably the next most important thing. So I would say having a presence around the world, because it is still fairly new. It is about 3 years old. And when I started 3 years ago, there was one vision and it's evolved because things change. I am more experienced now. I've learned more. I've met more people and, it's kind of evolving, is what I would say. But I would say, I think the vision is to be just, very inclusive of all photographers internationally and holding exhibitions. Yeah. Okay. To put it simply, that would be it.
Okay. Now that's really interesting because when you think of the greats of street photography and urban photography, there are some amazing images. Henri Cartier-Bresson, absolutely fantastic photographer. And people across the world admire those pictures. But there are two things about street photography. I think that there's a perception, at least, that more people are less happy to have their photographs taken. They're perhaps a bit more cautious. But also, a lot of photographers are a little bit nervous about street photography because they don't want to be confronted or come across as being confrontational themselves.
Yes.
So I think your role is important in raising the profile of modern street and urban photography.
That's a really great comment there. And no, thank you for saying that. Yes, I think it's really important. Yeah, a lot of it is the perception, how it's viewed. It's also dependent on the photographer itself and the kind of images, and really educating the public on what street photography is. And you'll often find that once people see the images and once people understand there's such a thing as street photography, non-photographers are very interested and they're quite supportive, actually. People don't usually have an issue. There are, of course, some, and it's very different from country to country as well. You'll find in the UK, there's a certain mindset. In Europe, there's also a different mindset. In Asia, so different. South America, Africa, it is so different from, continent to continent is what I would say. And what might work in the UK would not, or rather what might work in Asia might definitely won't work in the UK, for instance. So it's also understanding your audience, understanding how and where your images are going to be presented and in what context. So these are very important, I would say, educational and information that as a photographer, as a street photographer, we need to understand and know. And also there are rules and laws in different countries. That's country to country, whether you're allowed to take photos in public or whether you're not allowed, and whether you need permission. So a street photographer has to understand these things before they start taking photographs if they're, in various countries. But yes, I think it's about educating the public, and, I'm glad to be able to be in a position to be able to bring that forth and change mindsets and perception of the general public.
Yeah. So if you're going out for a day with your camera in London, say, what's your approach? How do you start out?
Oh, music. I need music.
Right.
So first I need some music to get me going. But it depends on whether I have a certain project in mind. There's usually a few projects that I'm working on, and I'll have that in mind. Or I might just go carte blanche and just, see what happens, just go for a walk and let the image come to me.
Mm-hmm.
Very important. Let the image come to you, because, invariably you will see, and depending on how you're feeling, whether you're happy, whether you've had enough sleep, it is so emotional. I mean, photography to me is so emotional and so heart-centered. For me, it's, I shoot with my heart. I shoot with my feelings and my emotions. And that sort of drives me to where the images are going to pop up and show me where they are. So I think it's, just letting, just being completely open to what's going to happen. So unless I have something very specific in mind, I go for it. I'm super sharp focused on what I need to go for. So I might have researched a certain area, or I might have researched a certain event, so I know exactly what I'm going to get. So it really depends, on what I need to shoot. But there is a certain, maybe not like a ritual, a bit of a ritual, so a bit of music. I'll look at some photo books to get some inspiration. I'll definitely do a bit of reading. I might, write a little bit about, how I'm feeling and what I think I'm going to shoot. So there's very much a process for me. Or I might, have a chat with some of my photography friends and, about, what I think I might want to do and where I need to go get the images and get some input and insights from them as well. So yes, so all of that.
And when you're actually out with your camera, what sort of things are you looking for? I mean, are you the sort of person who's drawn to specific things? Like, a lot of people like photographing other people emerging from under bridges or tunnels. You're looking for that sort of change in the light, or are you drawn to other things?
I'm very much drawn to moments or some sort of action, something happening, and they're the most difficult to find. I'm not so much of an aesthetic person. Some people are great at like leading lines or like black and white, and it's so precise and so accurate. I'm more messy. I'm not that neat and tidy. So for me, it's about the moment. It's about something very natural, and sometimes it could be about shadow and light. So maybe like a chiaroscuro kind of image where it might be like black 3/4 of the image and some light shining on a person's face or something. So I think I'm either one of those, that kind of photographer, I would say. Yeah, chiaroscuro. That is a technique in painting, actually, using shadows and light. And it's like an Alex Webb kind of image. Dark shadows and bright light, bright colors.
Okay. If you're looking for moments, do you tend to go to a place and stay there for a while? You sort of stood still for 10, 15 minutes or more, or do you keep moving and look to discover things as you walk about?
Sometimes I do, but most of the time I'm walking and looking for the image or just seeing what happens. If I discover a scene, if I discover a lot of activity somewhere and I see the potential of moments happening, I will stay there. So it's very much about reading the scenes and understanding the potential of what it could bring, what the kind of images that could happen there.
If you're photographing people, do you ever ask them about whether you can take a photograph of them, or do you prefer the more candid moments?
So there are two things here. I would never ask if I'm doing street photography, but I do love street portraits. So I will ask. If I see someone interesting to me, then I will stop and ask them if I could take their photograph. But otherwise, no.
Have you ever felt threatened when out doing urban photography?
Only once in Brick Lane. Usually no, but I took a shot of a drug deal being exchanged.
Oh,
I didn't know that was what it was.
right.
Yes, I just thought the guy looked cool in his tattoos, and I took a shot of so
Yeah.
and he did threaten to beat me up and
Crikey.
beat my camera and stuff, and I mean I deleted the photo. And I just apologized and I said I had no idea. I just kept saying I just thought you looked cool. I did, and I didn't know what was going on. So, but it was scary. So I do not like Brick Lane.
You've got to be careful. Yeah. Wow.
But otherwise, no. It doesn't mean, and that's a great point that you brought up, because it doesn't mean that just because you're a woman, you can get away with things on the street. I don't think that's true because from personal experience. I really think it's about body language, and I really think it's about intent and how and what you're shooting.
Right. So your intent, you mean?
Yes, because there's got to be an intention on why you're taking the photograph, for instance. Like, if you see someone who looks unflattering to you, oh, she might look ugly or unflattering. I'm being very honest and candid here. And you take a shot because you can, even though the woman looks terrible. So for me, why did you do that? Because, it's not nice.
Yeah.
So, so for me, the intention of why you're taking the shots is very important. And it really, and people can feel it on the streets and people can see it as well. So, I would say, think about why you're taking the shot before you press the shutter.
Yeah. And make sure they're not doing a drug deal.
Yes, exactly. Being so naive, I just thought, oh, he looks not bad.
Yeah.
So, yes, and it was, a bad call,
But I like what you say about, I think it is really important. If you showed the person after you've taken the photograph, if you showed that person the picture, are they going to be happy, sad, upset, or annoyed? It's probably a good thing to run that through your mind. If you show it to them and they sort of, oh, okay, well, I don't really like that picture.
Exactly. I think there's got to be respect. And I think, like, I don't think that people should take photographs of someone that does not look flattering, that really makes them look awful. I think those photographs should never be shown and should be deleted straight away. I think there's got to be some integrity to the work that you're showing because it's a reflection of you as a photographer. So if I see a photographer taking a shot that makes someone look terrible, I would have no respect for that shot or that photographer because it just tells me the kind of, work that he does or that person does.
Yeah.
For instance, one thing that really gets me is when people go to India or Asia and they come back and they put on an exhibition of their shots in India in some rural village. And there was one of a shot of men bathing together in a community in a village. And it's like, why are you showing photos of men bathing together? Because there's nothing they can do to defend themselves because they're naked bathing, So things like that really upset me. I don't think that they're good photographs. They shouldn't be taken.
Yeah. Fair enough. And so you've already given us a few tips, but what would you say are your top tips for someone who's wanting to try street or urban photography for the first time?
Okay. Number one rule is definitely the most comfortable pair of walking shoes you could ever get.
Good call.
Yeah, definitely. Be like well ready with your batteries, your card, your camera setup. You want to be comfortable, dressed properly for the weather, and you want to be not hungry as well. So make sure you've got your water bottle or something that you can eat with you. You just need to be really comfortable with nothing distracting you. And and also I think if you don't know what to shoot or how to shoot, you need to get some inspiration and maybe have a project idea or maybe have some sort of idea before you come out. And also I think it's also worth, if you're very new to it, it's worth going out with a friend or joining the photo walks to get an idea of how people shoot, what they shoot, where they shoot. So I think it's important to research where you're going to go as well. And if there's any events going on that you could potentially shoot, or maybe going indoors into a gallery, maybe that's, some people love doing that. So I think being prepared is important.
And what about camera settings? Do you have go-to camera settings? Do you tend to shoot in, say, aperture priority, shutter priority, manual?
Yes. So I don't know about other cameras, but I can only talk about my camera.
That's all right.
It is aperture priority. And I use the Fujifilm, either the X100 series. I've got a couple of those.
Nice.
Or I use the XT series. And on both, there are 3 automatic settings where I kind of set the shutter speed and the ISO. And I basically set it up aperture priority, but I use exposure compensation depending on how much light or what kind of look I'm going for. And so I don't have to worry about walking in and out of light or indoors and outdoors. It works. It's very sharp and it just works for me. So I know how to do it on the Fujifilm. I want to know what that means on other cameras.
Okay. So are you talking about the 3 settings you're talking about? Are you talking about the auto ISO settings? So you can set a maximum and minimum for the ISO and also the shutter speed minimum?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, other cameras have something similar. So you use auto ISO, but you set the parameters so that the sensitivity, the ISO doesn't go too high.
Correct.
Got you. Okay. Have you got a go-to film simulation mode?
In the Fujifilm, S soft or Pro Nag.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes classic chrome. Or if I'm doing black and white, then I would go to acros with more reds in it. Yes. So I don't have the latest Fujifilm with all the lovely other film simulations. So I'm still on the XC3.
It's got quite a few there. Very nice.
Yeah, I will move soon.
Great. Oh, well, I think that's a really good time to go to 6 from SheClicks. I've got 10 questions from SheClickers, and I would like you to answer 6 questions, please, by picking numbers from 1 to 10.
All right. Oh, number 3, please.
Number 3. If you could go to any urban environment or place you've not been yet, Where would you go and why? That question's from Liz.
Oh, any urban environment or where I've not, I think residential areas.
Okay.
I haven't really gone to residential areas to shoot. Maybe in like estates, like in London estates. I've not done that before. So I would be quite interested to see life unfold there and the kind of shots I could get there.
Okay. Great stuff. Can I have your second number, please?
Number 5, please.
Could you share a moment when photography reshaped how you see the world? That question's from Jeanette. Quite a deep question.
It is a deep question.
So I guess we're thinking about a photograph that had a really big impact on you.
I think maybe my first street shot, because it was profound for me. And I would say that would be the defining moment where things change for me. Because having taken that shot, I don't think I've ever made a shot as good as that, in my opinion,
Really?
which was 5 years ago. Never.
You set the bar high, you're just trying to get back to it.
Yes, it was a real moment, and I had to work very quickly and to get that shot where it taught me that, things can change so quickly and life can change so quickly. And it's, how you deal with capturing that moment, which applies to life as well, how you deal with, okay, solving that problem or finding a solution. Because I didn't know anything about settings. I didn't even know how to use my camera. So I had to work it out, which was all wrong, to get that shot. But I would say that that was a defining moment for me, teaching me about photography and street photography, what to do, and how things could change and how I could deal with it. So I would say my first street shot, which is a man standing on a ledge on one leg, by Westminster Bridge with the backdrop of the London Eye.
Okay, so I guess we'll find that on your Instagram account, would we?
It might be. Yeah.
We'll have a look. Okay. Can I have your third number, please?
Number 1, please.
What is the first photograph you remember seeing? That question's from Liz.
When I was a little girl, this is back home in Singapore. I am from Singapore, and there is a museum called the Changi Prison. And it's in the first book that I made, the first photo book I wrote about this. It was British prisoners of war captured by the Japanese occupation and sent to this prison. And there was a British man, I forget his name now, who had a little Browning camera, a Kodak Browning camera. And he secretly took shots of the British prisoners of war in the camp, and which are still on display at the museum, Changi Prison Museum in Singapore, if anyone ever goes there. And those images, I think there are just maybe 10 of them, but they were so defining for me and profound and affected me so much as a child. And that's when I thought I wanted to do photography. And that's what inspired me with photography. And so, yes, I would say despite their life being in prison, they were still smiling. So the prisoners were smiling in a group shot. In one particular photo, the group shots of the prisoners smiling into that camera. But they were skin and bones, and they were prisoners. So for me, it just kind of taught me that, in the adversity of life, people could still smile, and no matter how much hardship they were going through, they could still smile for the camera. So for me, that was important.
Yeah. So it's interesting that they knew they were being photographed. So he was open with the camera.
He was, I say, for this particular shot, he was. And I've seen many, many British people that have gone over there, the children and their grandchildren from the prisoners who were there. So when they came back to England and they had families, and their families have all gone over there, to look at their photographs and to look at how they had lived in the prison camp, which is, very inspiring for me. And so coming to live in the UK was very much part of, one of those reasons really coming here. Yes. And that was the documentary I wanted to do. I wanted to come to England and find the prisoners of war, the British prisoners of war, and photograph them and talk to them and interview them. But I was too late.
Maybe you could find their families.
I could find that family. So I think that's still very much a project I would like to do.
Oh, that would be a great project. So can I have your fourth number, please?
Number 4 would be number 10.
Number 10. What is your go-to lens and camera combination for street photography? Several people asked that. Now, you've mentioned you've got an X-T3. So I guess what lens do you use on it?
So because it's a crop lens, it would be the 23, otherwise 35 in full frame for street photography. That's standard. So I think that's, the best lens for street.
Yeah. So you just stick with that. Nice. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the beauties of street photography. Sometimes you just decide what you're going to use and go out, and you don't need a bag. You just carry your camera on a strap, one lens, off you go.
Exactly.
Fantastic. Right. So it's time for your penultimate number, please.
Let's go for number 7, please.
Number 7. How do you see urban and street photography evolving with social media and AI photography? That question's from Christina.
I see them evolving separately. They are two very separate things. I mean, street and urban will evolve naturally, and it's dependent very much on people, whereas AI is technology, and that, can evolve way faster than what we are able to do going out taking photos. So I think each has its place, and each are two very different things. They can complement each other, but depending on how they are used. So separately, I would say.
I guess the fear is, or the concern sometimes is that AI can be used to change the moment or change the meaning of an image in a way that we just didn't anticipate at one point. Whereas, street photography, its roots are in stories and truth and documentary.
Yes, it's live and it's authentic, whereas AI is technology and completely made up. It's, someone's art, or, it's art, but in a different sense.
Okay, so we've come to your final number, please.
Number 8, please.
Number 8. What's your idea of photography hell? Is there a type of shoot you would avoid at all costs? That question's from Anne.
Oh, weddings. No.
Weddings.
Oh, a photography hell. I don't think I have one. If it's related to street photography, then no. But if it's any other photography, I probably wouldn't. No, I wouldn't say I have anything that I would avoid.
Okay. You initially said weddings, but there's a lot of interest in documentary style wedding photography these days, isn't there? So you could probably move in that direction, looking for your moments and spontaneous interactions.
Yes, no, very much so, yes.
Okay, well, Jovis, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been really lovely hearing from you.
Thank you so much for having me, Angela. It's been fun. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
You're very welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the SheClicks Women in Photography podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. Special thanks to everybody who sent in a question. You'll find links to Jovis's website and social media channels in the show notes. I'll be back with another episode soon, so please subscribe to the show on your favourite podcast platform and tell all your friends and followers about it. You'll also find SheClicks on Facebook, X, Instagram and YouTube if you search for SheClicksNet. So until next time, enjoy your photography.